Goodness, the hotel Wi-Fi is working. We are live from the Portofino. We have just finished a Cannonball-style race across the country. The Portofino is the historical destination of the Cannonball race, starting in 1971. That's right, 50 years ago, when Brock Yates started the Cannonball C2C Memorial, Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash in honor of Mr. Irwin Cannonball Brock Yates, Irwin Cannonball Baker, yes, yeah. Who set over 140 records during his career. So we are here to honor the 50th anniversary of the Cannonball Run. And with me is Mr. John Ficara, who has crossed the country in competitive events more than anyone we know of, other than Cannonball Baker. And you have organized not the Cannonball, but the Musketball. What in the world is the Musketball?
Well, first, thanks for having me on, Doug. I'm a big fan.
Nobody else was available.
Yeah, that's the way it works. The Musketball is a cannonball event. The idea was that instead of doing a no-rules cannonball, was to give it one rule. Previous to this, I did the 2904, which had one rule, which was the entire race could only cost $2,904. And that was in response to Alex Roy's run back in the day where he spent $250,000 driving across the country.
Give or take.
Give or take. This one was in response to some hooligans driving 700 horsepower cars across the country during COVID. And
scofflaws, not hooligans. Come on.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. Whatever you want to call yourselves. It makes you good. It makes you sleep at night. Good for you. So anyway, the Musketball was a response that we were going to lower the power, lower the speed, and celebrate the 50th anniversary. So the only rule of the Musketball is you can only have 100 horsepower at the wheels. And that's what we did. And it seemed to work rather well. Everybody had a great time. And it was a nice tight pack. 27 cars showed up, drove across the country. And
how many cars made it?
26 and a half. There was one that collapsed, and they had to get he had bought a car or rented a car.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we'll have Steve talk about that.
But he made it most of the way, so I'm going to give him a half finish for that.
Yep.
But Yates always said that cars could competently driven could go across the country in safety at whatever speed you wanted and be safe about it. Now, we didn't ever break the speed limit. I'm sure we were very legal about the entire process.
Right.
I can't speak for
we can't
the
break the speed limit in 100 horsepower cars.
Well,
it's not physically possible.
There's no way, like some people sitting next to me, that we could be doing 170 miles an hour. So it kept people together, like groups of cars gathered together naturally by their power levels and driving skill, and went across the country in little groups. But it was just a really great time.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was. We had fun.
How did you enjoy it? Since we know what you're used to doing, right? This seems to be like doing it with your knees cut off.
Well, I love it and hate it at the same time. I love the camaraderie and the competition of it. I hate going across country in cars that were never designed to do it. I like the right tool for the job, and these were a lot of incorrect tools. A lot of tools in incorrect tools. Yes. Tools and scofflaws. So that part of it is indeed frustrating to me. I want a car that's quiet and comfortable and has massage seats and lots of power on tap.
And you chose the opposite of that.
I didn't choose. You chose.
Well, anyone was able to interpret that one rule. So we had you had your diesel inside. We had a 1985 Cannonball Audi Quattro.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Citroën XM. There was an old Crown Vic, which wasn't officially in, but I'm sure it doesn't have more than 100 horsepower.
Right.
There were such a variety of cars. You could have been in luxury. There were guys in a Fiat 500, which seemed to me to be the most punishing choice of all of them.
The Citroën was probably the most comfortable.
Can you imagine the air suspension just burning along the road? Yeah. The only thing you have in the back of your mind is the screaming possibility that thing's going to explode any second at any point. But cheers to the French. I mean, really.
Right.
I mean, because that car, I believe,
in true French fashion, too, they did not win.
No. But they didn't lose either.
There were no white flags.
They
finished.
They actually battled for the front for a little while. The Citroën was duking it out with Ed Bolian. I mean, how often are you going to hear those words come together?
Right.
No, there were so many great little battles inside. Like that to me, that's what good racing is. This was not a race. This was just I wouldn't say we were racing on public roads, but if you were racing, there were all these great mini battles going on that we were watching going on across the country. Volvo versus Audi. You know, you had a rental Corolla versus an XM. You know, it was just a great variety, great fun had by all.
Awesome.
And unfortunately for you, you missed out on a little bit of that.
Northern route.
Yeah.
Well, John, thank you for coming on. In order to finish this in time for your award ceremony,
and I got to make the award.
I got to kick you out.
Yeah, kick me out.
And we're going to have some other people who are competitors on.
I know you do this
That's
online.
okay. Yes, we do this. We look at our audience.
I mean, really.
I have a great face for radio, and I chose
online,
to do a video podcast.
He's a very attractive man. All right. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, John. Yep, get those awards ready. Make sure you put extra polish on mine. Before our next competitor comes on, behind me is the likeness of Dr. Lyle Royer, who was the actual doctor in the famous Transcon Medevac in the 79 Cannonball, and as portrayed in the movie as well. And we put one of the Cannonball legends, Ben Charlie Safari Wilson, we put his face on Dr. Lyle Royer, and he rode in a Transcon Medevac clone made from a little tiny Japanese microvan. So we were happy to have him here in spirit. So there was a lot of hubbub. Well, not a lot of hubbub. There were some articles about this Ferrari owner who was going to be the first person to beat Google Maps somewhere in Europe. And he had a huge team of people with Ferrari F1 pit crews and sponsors and champagne at the finish and news crews. And the Guinness Book of World Records, he was going to be the first guy to ever beat Google Maps. But in this room, we have dozens and dozens of people who, in the past 2 days, beat Google Maps, some of them by an hour, some of them by 10 hours, in complete crap boxes. And we're going to talk to a few of them. Now, our podcast usually is pretty family-friendly, or as professional as we can. These are a room full of scofflaws. Cannonballers are like sailors. We can't control what they do, how much they drink, or what they say. So if you have sensitive ears or children, this may not be the best podcast to have them listen to. You've been forewarned. There's no FCC guidelines or bleeps here. So we're going to call up some people if we can get any of their attention. But let's see, the first person I want to have on, I guess we'll start with the fastest if they're in here, maybe. The winners of this race were in a Volkswagen Jetta TDI wagon. There's lots of TDIs here. I don't see them yet, so they are over there. Okay, David, is Bradley here as well? Is Bradley here? Okay, we're going to get them up here. So at the start of the race, we had a dyno to confirm that we only had 100 horsepower at the wheels. And there were some relatively stiff penalties, but maybe not stiff enough penalties for those who dynoed over 101 horsepower at the wheels. And one of those, there's a lot of TDIs there, one of those TDIs that blew over the limit was David and his co-driver Bradley, who, what was your wheel horsepower?
120.
Right up.
What's up? 125.
125 wheel horsepower. So you're 25% over the limit for the event, but you had no clue.
Yes.
Yes.
Factually, I've dynoed the car in Florida. All of the
That's
dynos
what all cheaters say. Nobody cares about that. All right, so you won the race. What was your time?
32:07.
32 hours and 7 minutes. And do you know the significance of that time now?
Yes, thanks very much to you earlier. Tying the U.S. Express record, which went largely unbeaten for a while.
Well, until Alex Roy. Yeah, it was unbeaten, yes. Alex Roy set out to prove that 32:07 actually did happen and that it could be beaten. So you matched the 32:07 time in your beater Passat.
Jetta wagon.
Jetta wagon, I'm sorry. All Volkswagens look the same. Okay.
The key to this low-powered event is drop a brick on the throttle and wait,
right?
In essence.
And your penalty was 250 extra pounds of weight?
Correct. So we carried 3 80-pound sacks of concrete, and I think it was some of Fred Ashmore's tools.
Gotcha. All right. So nobody really cares about the nuances of 30 hours of driving across the country because, as we know, it really is boring. but you did have a pretty exciting event. Well, let's first tell me very briefly, what was your disguise or your team theme?
So our car, as an homage to the Transcon Medevac van, was disguised as an organ transport vehicle. Bradley and myself being...
Come over here, Bradley.
Get over here. Yeah, this is Bradley. He's awesome, and we absolutely shattered his previous coast-to-coast time.
Yes.
Which
Okay, so yes, there is. Keep going on the... Sorry, we got to be quick.
Yeah, we'll digress, sorry. Car was dressed up as an organ transport vehicle, and
so you got pulled over for going how fast?
We were pulled over doing 111 and a 65, allegedly.
Okay. Allegedly.
By a nice gentleman, very Magnum PI looking cop in Missouri.
He had a glorious mustache.
He had a glorious mustache. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you get a ticket?
No.
Why not?
Because he couldn't prove nor disprove his words. What I was saying wasn't a lie.
What were you saying?
I told
Everybody wants to know how to get out of tickets. How did you get out of 111 alleged speed on a cross-country race when you're not actually a medical transport vehicle?
The easiest way to lie is to not. So we told him I told him factually, we left Connecticut this morning. We need to be at UCLA tomorrow, real quick like. And that's like the long and the short of it, honestly. I come to find out, actually, at the time, my license was suspended that Monday as well for an unpaid toll ticket I didn't know about.
So what did the cops say to you? This is...
Verbatim, I think you're bullshitting me, but I can't prove or disprove it. So at this time, I'm going to take no action.
That's awesome. And that's funny, too, because the original Transcon Medevac got pulled over, and they fed him a similar line, and the cop believed it, even though he didn't think it was true. So that was a very good homage. I'm proud of you for that. Good job getting out of the ticket. Good disguise. Congrats on the win.
Thank
Bradley,
you.
I want to talk to you briefly as well.
I'd like to think that the ghost of... I'm sorry, I just... mentally blocked. The ghost of Brock Yates rode along with us in the sense of it broke a curse for me, but also like the whole like being able to follow along and get pulled over and pull sort of the same gimmick and have it work. And he literally, one other thing about the pullover, he was like, "You're saying all of these things, but you have all the radar detectors and you have a Cannonball garage license plate in place of your actual plate." Because one of the things is, at least allegedly, we ran across the country without a license plate.
Not advisable. None of this is advisable. So Bradley, your previous record was a record that will never be beaten. Tell me quickly about that.
Very unlikely to ever be beaten. 103 hours. It's the worst time by 30 hours ever recorded in an actual Cannonball, at least like where the participant kept running.
Right.
So
my wife and I may beat that in Ed's Lamborghini if we get the chance to buy that.
Yeah, I was going to do a like 4x4 conversion on it. So I'm going to pitch that to Ed. But anyway, so 103 hours, we did an oil pressure sending unit, the tail shaft in the transmission, which required drive shaft removal in the Summit parking lot in Talmadge, Ohio. By the way, buy parts from Summit. Those guys are awesome. They absolutely took care of us, and like
they're not a sponsor.
They're not a sponsor, but they worked after hours to help us and like made sure we had tools and all of that. They were awesome. Then we overheated somewhere around Springfield, Missouri, ended up having a blown head gasket. That turned into James Crawford coming and showing up to help us do a head gasket swap, after which I promptly bent a push rod because I'm an idiot. Got the push rod and sort of top end of the motor fixed. Drove to the Loves that we passed. Remember, I pointed it out. So we're on the road. And the car died. Apparently, it had caught a piece of dirt in the float valve. For all of you,
but after all this, you made it.
Did make
you made it in 103 hours.
Losing my first two co-drivers
in Springfield because they both had other things to do.
So you went from 103 hours to
Yeah.
winning the next event. So this
Yeah.
is redemption for you.
70 hours.
Yes,
We beat it.
70
hours and 40
Well-
minutes. And also, we basically exactly matched to the minute the U.S. Express
Yes.
record.
Yes.
So it's, if you care about this stuff, it's all about the specifics. And I know you know this, Doug, because
Yep.
you're like the consummate planner. But it's like, it's all the history and the things that have gone on previously and all of that. So running a 32:07 was like, I don't know,
Sweet.
It
was
like
sweet.
The skies opened up and the
Yeah.
angelic choir was singing. It was sweet.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome
Thank you,
win.
thank
See you guys next year, I guess, in an event that may or may not happen. So,
No
all right.
event
So
that
those
is not
are the
happening.
winners. Some may call them cheaters because they blew over, but whatever. They got here first. I want to talk to the Boston Brawlers next. They're right here, Ethan. If you can grab them, if Chris Benvey wants to come up. So these guys are, wow. They have 3 of the top 5 fastest times ever in a Cannonball. So they went in an Audi S8 Plus twice and a BMW M5 and almost beat our overall Cannonball record last year.
Almost.
But they got stopped. Chris, tell me briefly about why you got stopped from beating our record, or what got in your way.
Oh, the M5. So, as the story goes, it was in the the Cajon Junction? Cajon Junction, right? So
Yes.
Cajon Junction in California, there was a guy that tried to kill himself by shooting himself on the highway, where when he was unsuccessful, when he was unsuccessful, held his family hostage for 5 hours.
On the highway.
So it shut down a 10-lane highway.
And you were on pace to beat us by like an hour.
We were going to be into the 24s.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we had to go 50 miles outside, like through the desert. So we added, we ended up finishing, 17 minutes behind you guys,
Yep.
but we went an additional 50 miles.
Right.
Also, before that, we
That's Cannonball.
Yeah, I know, right? We got stuck in traffic for 28 minutes while we were sitting on at the ag stop.
Yep.
There was an accident right before the ag stop from Vegas into LA.
All right. So you're no stranger to bad luck. You've had 3 runs under 26 hours. I'm sorry, under 27 hours. 3
Yes.
cross-country runs, but never a record. As you described yourself, you were always the bridesmaids, never a bride. You hoped to change that, to turn that around this time, and you were on pace to do so. We were running right up with you guys, looking for first place. And what happened this time?
Well, it happened again. This time, I'll let the other Chris Durden, I will let him tell that story because I still can't believe it happened.
I can't believe it happened either. So we're going through the Rocky Mountains, it's twisty and turny through there, and we come up, and all of a sudden there's stopped trucks. Big sign lit up that says road closed. So we're like, what is this? Come to a complete stop. There's 2 tractor trailers in front of us, and we can see flashing lights, not even 100 yards in front of us. After being stopped for 15 minutes, Chris gets out of the car. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go take a look. We're not moving. Gets out, walks down. About 10 minutes later, he walks back, gets in the car, shuts the car off, says, we're going to be here for a while. A truck carrying milk couldn't make the corner, jackknifed, flipped over. The cab was crushed, spilled milk all over the highway, laying across both lanes of I-70 in the Rockies, completely blocking the road. We were about 10 cars back from when that happened.
and how long did that delay you?
That delay took 2 hours and 17 minutes of us just sitting there.
And how far behind the leaders behind the winner did you finish?
Oh, I don't know.
32:07.
We were
2 hours
Microphone.
and change.
2 hours and 50. Oh my gosh! So that cost you the win essentially.
Essentially.
How heartbreaking was that?
We're used to it now. This has happened.
That is Cannonball.
4
Yeah.
times, so we kind of
Yeah.
expect. We're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, and every
Yeah.
time we have a good thing going, it's something's going to explode, or someone has to hold someone hostage
Yeah.
or whatever.
So
always happens.
you guys, we were running right behind you. Your car was a little bit faster. You accused us at one point of pointing a radar gun at you in order to slow you down so we could pass you. I denied it vehemently, but I did have a radar gun.
We were pretty convinced.
And I
that
used
you
it
had
for
one.
just such purposes. It was. I got you guys at 105, but I cut your break. I didn't give you a ticket. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. It was an honor to run against you. I know we've been running against each other from a distance the last couple years. So I don't know. Like you're like the Browns. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. I hope you guys do get some sort of win, not our record, but something, so you can put it on your wall. So, yeah, congrats on finishing, and glad you could come out. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the tequila.
Thank you. It was great running with
Yeah.
you guys.
All right, so we got some legends here and some not legends, some winners and some losers. Well, we're all kind of losers if we're doing this type of thing. But I would like to talk to Nick Kruger and his dad, Ethan. They are right behind you. So in 71, Brock Yates went with his son, and they actually did the first run in his van, in Brock Yates' van, Moon Trash. And Nick Kruger went with his dad on this run. So he's going to come up and talk briefly about their run. So, Nick, you went with your dad on this run, and you went earlier this year or last year in your Saab. Is that right?
Yeah, I went in April with my Saab.
Okay, so he also did 32 hours and 7 minutes.
I did, yes.
Yes, and did you know at the time the significance of that number?
I did, actually. So when I started thinking about Cannonball, that was the number on the board.
Okay, yeah, so you've seen the documentary and everything. Yes. Yeah, so that's cool. So we have had 2 32-hour and 7-minute runs this year, kind of in an accidental tribute to David Diem and Doug Turner in their Ferrari. So what made you want to take your dad on the run?
My dad he was the guy who introduced me to Cannonball, to cars, everything like that. We raced for years together. So he's always been there supporting me. When I did my run in April, he was very supportive.
Yep.
And I really wanted to share that with him.
Awesome. What car did you take?
We took a 1990 Volvo 240.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Is yours the other one with the Coexist bumper sticker on it?
That's us.
Yes. All right. Yes, we've decorated our cars a little bit because we want other drivers to coexist with us as we blow their doors off. That's always it. Okay, and what was your overall time?
35 hours and 35 minutes.
Wow, 35.
Yep.
That is impressive for an old beater Volvo.
I thought you were going to say old beater drivers.
Well, no, not at all. No, you're only as old as you are slow at driving. So what was kind of the highlight of the event besides finishing?
Oh, the highlight. Going with my son. I'm sorry. Going with my son. It's a top 10. It really is. I'm sorry, but it meant so much to go with my son because Fred took his father. And ever since we heard that just meant so much. And also, I'm probably the only one here that read the original article by Brock Yates in the original magazine when it came out. And I'm sitting there in college, poor as could be, thinking, that is cool. That's something I got to do someday. I just didn't think it'd take 50 years to do it.
Right. And Brock Yates took his son with him. In
wasn't
71, 50 years ago, his first run, Brock Yates took his son. He was 16, I think, at the time.
It
15
was
or 16.
Brock Yates Jr. and
Yep.
Steve Smith.
Yeah.
And is there somebody else?
I think there was 4 in
Yeah,
the Cannonball van. Yeah.
But it was a blast. I mean, this is a top 10 bucket list.
That's awesome.
I can't say any more. It was great. And I think I'm the oldest one here to have run and driven.
Very possible. I
got
don't
to
know that
drive
for a fact, but
4 shifts. So
were you fast? You answer that. Was he fast?
He actually, we never lost on our average, and we gained a little bit when he was behind.
That's what matters.
Yeah. So
That's
I don't
what
know if there
matters.
is a sub record for age or not.
There's a sub record for
sub-record for
everything.
it. We
For
can make
everything.
one. We can make one.
We have a sub record for Coexist bumper sticker.
But I don't know if he saw it yet. I sent his wife an email today, and I said, the torch has officially passed. He is the king of the hill.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. That's it's tough to go on from there. That is a awesome story.
Yeah.
It was great to meet you at the start after seeing your stuff online that you did with your run.
Yeah.
And that's the great part of the Cannonball community is the camaraderie. We all post online and see what everybody else is doing, but then we come out to events like this and get to actually compete against each other. So thank you guys. Well
Awesome.
done.
Thanks,
Hope to
Doug.
see you again. For sure. All right. I want to talk to Yummy. These guys rented a Ford Focus. Nick, do you know where Yummy is? Do you know who he is? Maybe. If I can find him, we're gonna get him up here. But these guys ran a Ford Focus, which also blew over, so they had some extra weight. And we'll try to get him up here. If we don't, we'll get somebody else up here. Let me see. Mark Spence. Where is Mark Spence? Mark Spence. Grab Mark Spence. Get him up here. It's a little bit crazy in here, and I don't have a speaker, so you guys are really the only ones that can hear me very well. So this is fun. Mark Spence went with Chris Allen, and they took a Citroen. What in the world were you thinking to take a French car across the country?
It's because we're dumb.
Well, yeah.
When all this thing came out,
Just hold the mic. Don't do this. Just hold the mic.
I'll hold the mic.
Yes.
Is that better?
Wonderful.
Or is it better? Okay. But it's because we're dumb.
Okay. How did it go? Everybody expected you to break down.
I didn't think we were going to be making out a PA. That's why I had a TDI Sport Wagon waiting for us.
Okay, but you made it.
Yeah, but we made it.
Was it comfortable?
I actually got my best sleep on a Cannonball of all times in this French car. So
Was it fast?
no.
But it was fast enough to get pulled over.
Wow.
I heard your co-driver was in handcuffs.
Yes, and the rumors are true.
These
My
things
co-driver was in
This
handcuffs.
is legit, people. This wasn't a race.
Well, I heard about the story
But
and
it
how it
was.
all happened, but I was in the back seat, and then the whole on-ramp lit up with reds and blues, and they pulled over two of us. They pulled over Chris Michaels
Yep.
and in their rental Corolla, and then it was us in our Citroen
Yep.
at the same time.
How fast were you alleged to be going?
I don't actually know. I think it's something like 112.
Okay. And so they put him in handcuffs. Did he get a ticket?
Yes, and he also got a ticket. But I
he
feel
didn't go
like
to jail.
everyone thought I was the one who got pulled over and was in handcuffs as everyone went past us. Because I was driving up until like 5 miles prior to that where we did a hot swap and then ended up behind Ed, and then we all got lit up.
So you got put in handcuffs. That was your only traffic stop? Or
Yes.
Sorry, Chris did. And despite the stop, how was your overall time?
33:38, I believe.
That's impressive for an
Which
old
was
Citroen.
For a
Fourth
car
place?
that was never sold. 5th place, I think.
Fifth. Okay. Next,
Whatever Ed
that was
did.
3 minutes behind Ed Bullion. So
Yes.
in an old Citroen, they were 3 minutes behind one of the most legendary Cannonball racers of all time, even with almost going to jail.
Yes. But another thing about that, too, Waze messed us up. It sent us north about 10 miles, and we circled around and had to come back. And then when we got off the
Darn that
exit, Ed
Waze.
was right there behind us, pretty much running into our rear door.
So Waze screwed you out of fourth place.
Yes.
That girl. All right. Well, thank you, Spence. Appreciate you coming on. Always good to see you. And we'll go on to next. We had Captain Chaos here, the real Captain Chaos. We're going to get him up here. We kind of need him with Lyle Royer to complete the ensemble. He's straight back there. We need Captain Chaos. Captain Chaos. Him. We need him. Oh, don't talk about him. Okay, well, find his co-drivers, I guess. Come on up. Yeah, over here.
Over here.
All right, Captain Chaos. This is perfect. Talk about this really quickly.
This. Okay.
This. Talk about him.
Him. We don't want to talk about him.
Oh no, not
we
him.
don't talk about him. Anyways, this guy here got me involved with this.
Yes.
So, golly, was it back in? It's the run you did with the 2904, which I think it was 2017 with
Yep.
the Monte
Yep.
Carlo. That's when I first met you, and I was in the Greenwich Concord to Elegance. They were doing a Cannonball reunion.
Yep.
So I was with, let's see, Eric, Ben, Arnie, Ed, Rob, and I think that's it. That's all I can remember right now. And this guy's
bunch of scofflaws.
Right, bunch
no
of scofflaws.
goods.
A person I never met before in my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Had no clue what, people were still doing the Cannonball run.
Yep. Now,
And-
were you as Captain Chaos?
Yes,
at that
I
point?
was. I was
Okay.
there with Travis Bell because Travis has the ambulance that
Yep.
still hasn't made one. Well, we do have an ambulance that made one now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But anyways, he was like, "You've got to do it. You're him. You've got to do it. You're him." I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking like, wait a second. I just had my mind blown because last time I heard of the Cannonball thing, it was the U.S. Express, and that was it. You know what I mean? And the One Lap America, which is not really,
Sure.
what we do.
So how many runs cross country have you done at this point?
4.
Any notable, any wins, anything, or have you just had fun?
Well, let's see. The first time I went was with Benny Newsman.
Yep.
And we won the C2C Express.
Yep.
Going there. The second time I did it was in the little Honda.
Yep.
And I got the Vin Wiki Award for having the most cojones, which kind of, because it's kind of like the Musketball that we just did.
Mm-hmm.
Car less than 100 horsepower.
Right.
And we did come in last, but we came in 11th out of, I think, 20 or something like that. So,
Yep.
And then the year after that was the debacle of the van, and we picked up the Lexus and came in third, surprisingly, with a car.
In a Lexus you bought like the day before the run, right?
Right, exactly.
$1,500. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was amazing. But you were also with Ed Bullion. That
Ed
helps.
Bullion, yes. Yeah. So, and when you have Ed Bullion, you learn all the trips and
Right.
tricks from Ed Bullion. So,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So, yeah.
And then what did you run this year?
This year I ran it with Eric Prost with the
Yep.
LTD. And we did. We beat the Honda record by 22 minutes.
I would hope so.
Yeah, 43:22 is what we ended up with.
43:22.
43:22.
That
so,
is
yeah.
a long time in a car for a
Yes,
Cannonball.
it was. But you know what? I could actually sleep and relax in that
Right.
one.
Yeah,
it was
that's
a lot
true.
more. It was a lot more comfortable because we were originally going to do it in a K car.
Yeah.
And
Ooh.
yes, 4-cylinder, 4-speed. Practically mint, if you can believe this, in Ohio, no rust at all. So
Wow.
it
I
was-
remember he came down to pick that up, and we looked
Yeah.
it over. Awesome. Cool. Well, Matthew,
Yes.
Captain Chaos.
Yes.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Sorry to be so brief.
I know there's a
We
lot of people
always
here.
love having Captain Chaos at our events.
And Ben, we miss you. You need to be here,
Yes,
brother.
Ben, we miss you. Hopefully you're watching, so you know how much
Right.
we miss you. Speaking of Ed Bullion, we'll get him up here with his teammate, Chris Michaels. So,
Gotcha.
Chris, can you and Ed come up briefly? Can you grab? Oh, thanks. Yeah, hit the camera.
Don't hit the camera.
Don't hit the camera. Good seeing you, Matt.
Thank you for making. What was your
Absolutely. 39:37 after a 7-hour breakdown, I should add.
yeah, I know. At least
Yeah. So, come up, you too. Yeah. Come up. All right. For Vin Wiki fans, these two need no introduction at all. Or as you might say on a Michael Scott roast, these two deserve no introduction. But this is Ed Bullion, former Cannonball Run record holder. This is Christopher Michaels, most drug smuggled auction trucks record hold. I don't know. Chris is just an overall good guy, and he's never done a cannonball. So tell me about your first cannonball briefly. How did it go?
This Cannonball was fantastic. This is the best time I've ever had in a car. I have been
And
fortunate enough
you've
to drive.
done like crazy things in cars before.
I have. I've driven all around the world, crossed the Arctic Circle, driven the coastlines of multiple continents, but this is the most fun I've ever had in a car. Just with my friends, cutting up, messing with each other, pranking each other on the road. It was just such an absolutely fun time, and the camaraderie was well worth the ticket I got on this trip.
Awesome. Tell me about the ticket.
Oh, the ticket. It was, we were having too much fun. We had been mixing it up with the Citron since probably Pennsylvania, just trading the lead back and forth, and we were blowing through Missouri, middle of the night, probably cruising at our top speed, which was 108. And we just topped a hill, and they were just waiting for us.
Just
I
waiting
don't know
for
if
you.
they found out. We had a friend
Was that
come
the
through.
one where there was like 5 cops set up
They
in
were
a valley?
ready to go. They
All
got
right.
us in the Citron.
All
Hopefully,
right.
Unfortunately, though, they did not get us for racing, but we just did get
Because
very
you
large
weren't
triple-digit
racing.
tickets. But they were set up. There was no radar blips. One of our compatriots had gone through in disguise and pulled off a traffic stop, making them think they were organ transplanters. And I think they'd gone back and Googled it, realized something was up, and were set up waiting for us.
Yeah.
But we sprung the trap, but it'll work out, though. It was well worth the price to get to participate in such a fun event.
So you do this
Absolutely.
again?
Absolutely. I would do this again tomorrow.
All right. So
Steal
you're,
a car,
you're just
borrow a
going to
car,
drive
I'm
it.
gonna
You want to drive ours home?
I'm thinking about it. I got to go to Ecuador to scout out for some other stuff, but I'm thinking about it. It was absolutely the best time I've ever
to
had.
sort
in a
out
car.
some other stuff. More drug smuggler trucks. Chris, awesome to have you here. Glad
Thank you.
you're part of the community.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Ed, tell us why. Apparently, I'm quoted as saying that the best Cannonball car to use is somebody else's car. Tell us why a rental car is the best Cannonball car ever, because that is Ed opted to rent a car.
Yes, a 2020 Corolla LE with a CVT garbage transmission.
Yeah, which we couldn't even really dyno it properly because of the CVT.
It just went all over the place. It'd be 40 horsepower, 140 horsepower, but there was no evidence that it had any more than the 90 that we decided it had based on the preponderance of the dyno evidence.
The arbitrary decision of yes.
Our team name, too, is good stuff.
What was your team name?
Our team name, because of the rental, was Team Collision Damage Waiver, which Ed came up with, which is absolutely appropriate and fantastic.
So you didn't get the full coverage insurance.
No, we got that is the collision damage waiver.
Okay.
So it's $12 a day through Dollar Rental Car, and then we booked it through. Like
Did
a
you
third
use
party.
it?
No, well, I mean, I don't know.
Little
Depends on the
bumping
paint
of
damage we just did
competitors,
removing all
or
the stickers, but we did rear end the Citroen at speed, and they did not appreciate that. They apparently had filled a water bottle with something else, the byproduct of water bottle, and they added it to the front of our car.
It wasn't a rear end. It wasn't an accident. It was just they cut us off. We got into a single lane, and Ed says, I think they need a bump. And I had to be behind the wheel, and we just gave them a
You were helping them.
gentle, affectionate, almost lover-like tap, as Deadpool might say.
You wanted to
just a
up their
little
average
bump.
speed.
Up, we did.
Yes,
We did. Two
yes.
cars faster than one. But,
Yeah.
And they didn't
So-
return the favor at all.
No. So why is a rental car the fastest?
Oh, it was, usually you think, as Arnie did prepping your car, like so long and so much in advance, and you go through so much heartache and trouble and expense making it work. And in this case, we just picked it up. Now, we had planned to have a Hyundai Accent because that had 120 crank horsepower. We thought, all right, that's the right kind of ratio, anticipating drivetrain loss. But they lied, and it was not there. Sunshine at the Dollar Rental Car counter had given us bad information. And so
Darn those.
Yes, so we did not have that, and we ended up with the lowest horsepower car they had available after offering us many upgrades was this Corolla. And we were concerned, but we learned very quickly that there was no reason for concern of having cheated, of having more horsepower.
Unfortunately, none of the upgrades at the rental car counter are fuel cells or additional charging ports or laser diffusers.
And they're not used to people wanting like worse cars than the one they're trying to give you. Like
Right.
they were completely bewildered. Like, no, we're like Eddie Murphy and Coming to America, like we're the bad apartment. Like, no, we need the worst car you have. Like, oh, but we've got this upgraded mid-size. No, we want the worst one ever. It was fun stuff.
That's awesome. Well,
So the thing is, we didn't have a fuel cell, we didn't have a laser jammer hardwired in or anything like that, so we just didn't worry about that sort of thing. We just went as fast as it would
you
go.
just don't slow down.
That's it.
There is something to be said for that strategy.
Yeah, we had a lot of trunk space without a fuel cell, too. Everything you need.
Well, thank you guys. Always a pleasure to run against you. Ed, Chris. Yep, good seeing you guys. We'll let you get back to it. I see that guy that I want. Yes, Tim and Scott, come on up. Tim and Scott built probably the world's greatest classic Cannonball car and didn't run it. It was an old BMW 5 Series with a crazy built turbo engine and fuel cells and all the countermeasures perfectly installed. And they brought it out on a trailer to the finish line of the C2C a couple years ago, and we all gawked at it knowing that we would have lost if it had actually run. This year they brought a kind of janky clone of the same car with far less horsepower, still over the 100 limit. So you guys had some extra weight, cheaters.
Just a little bit of extra
Just
weight.
a little bit of extra weight. Again, nobody really cares about the 2,800 miles of driving and all the nuances that go into it. But you guys got hit by a drunk driver.
Oh, yes, we did.
Tell us about that.
So, it was about midnight. We were coming across Iowa, We were prepping for our third fuel stop, and we were just taking it easy for a cool down to the off ramp. And over this hill comes the Subaru. We have a semi next to us, and he decides the best place to go is in between us, and that obviously wasn't going to work. So he pushes us off the edge of the road. We begin a pursuit, and he just completely gets away from us. So then we told the police. The police told us to stop at the next exit because we lost him. We deal with the police there. They inform us that if we would like to make a report, we now have to go back 10 miles. So we go back and talk to the officers in the county where the accident happened. They said, okay, we have your information. You can get on your way now. We go back to the original gas station to perform our gas stop that we didn't get to do because it probably wasn't a great idea to fill 30 gallons in your trunk in front of 2 cops. We finish that up, get back on the road, and about 10 miles down the road, we see some lights over a hill. We come over, and what do you know? There's a Subaru Crosstrek mangled in the median and a drunk guy getting arrested by a cop. So we immediately pull over. Scott runs out to talk to the officer, who's very confused as to why we're approaching him. And we explain, hey, that guy hit us. And he goes, well, what do you mean? He hit the median. We go, no, he hit us 2 hours ago. So needless to say, we took a little bit longer to get his insurance information so that we can now deal with that enjoyment.
Awesome.
So,
but you
small
finished.
2.5 hour delay. Overall.
What was your overall time?
So our overall time was 37:23. So
not bad.
Subtract 2.5 hours. We did our goal. We wanted to go sub 35. On the road, we did sub 35.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
good. And no terrible damage to the car.
No, I mean we had door pretty dinged up. Fender is missing a trim piece. Got a big scuff. But overall, E28 built like a tank, took it like a champ.
That's awesome. So the Cannonball has pretty much an impeccable safety record. There have been no vehicle-to-vehicle accidents, nobody killed, nobody really injured at all in all the years of Cannonball. But we all know that driving on the road at any speed is incredibly dangerous just because of all the risks and variables out there. And this is the first any kind of accidents that's happened on any Cannonball for, I guess, about 50 years. And it wasn't even a Cannonball thing. It was a drunk driver. No, not the notoriety you wanted, but it does illustrate. It does illustrate how dangerous it is to get on the road, but also, in some sense, at least as much as it is in our control, how safe cannonballing is. So, Scott, what was your takeaway from the event?
I mean, it was great. It would have been nice to have my turbo car, even if it would have been a 2,000-pound penalty to bring. But we had 250 pounds of water softener in the car to make up for my additional 24.7 wheel horsepower over 100.
So instead of concrete, you bought a water softener. Did you need one of those for your apartment anyway?
We did not need 6 40-pound bags of water softener, but we did trade trunk space for Tim's luggage with another team, and he happened to say that he needed water softener at home, so we're going to give him 240 pounds of water softener, which is about $30 in exchange for storing that bag. I will point out, when the final cop we talked to was giving us our goodbyes at 2:30 in the morning, he leaned into the car and said, make sure you boys have enough gas to get going. And we looked back at him and said, oh, officer, we have plenty of gas to keep going. And so we got back on the road and kept going. We kept burning oil and kept filling oil and made it here safely. So
how much oil did you burn?
Probably about 8 quarts on the way west, and only about a quart on the way east. When we drove from California to Connecticut, we left Thursday, got there Saturday, and then left Connecticut Monday to come back to California. So we're hitting 7,000 miles in 6 days.
Wow.
And the car took it like a champ. So.
That's awesome. Well,
not the redemption we wanted for an E28, but we got an E28 to Connecticut and to Portofino.
That's all right. Well, I'm sure that car will make a run at some point. If it doesn't, you can always sell it to me. Allegedly.
Not for sale.
It will be. It will be. Thank you, guys. Pleasure to be with you.
Thank you.
Good to run against you.
We always love running with you guys.
Absolutely. Same here.
We'd love to do it again sometime.
The Northern group. Northern Route team.
The Northern Collective.
Yes.
Northern Nuts.
Northern Nuts. Yeah. Smaller nuts on this run, but Oh, gosh. Who haven't I talked to? Have we still not located Yummy? No one knows. Are his teammates here, John and Alan? We don't know. Okay, Steve Brown. Where's Steve Brown? I need like a Steve Brown. I need a big PA here. So calling him. You're calling Steve Brown. How about Jared Pink? Is Jared Pink in here? There's a team that took a bus and the team short bus, and there was about 4 guys. Yeah, bring Arnie up if he's here. Yeah, I'm looking for Jared. Yeah, and they picked up some stragglers who broke down. So he'll come on in a second, but we're going to introduce my co-driver, Arnie Toman. He built the Insight TDI, and we know a little bit about Cannonball failure. I think we might have, or I might have, the record for a number of DNFs, but I think we broke down in Denver this time. We lost a belt tensioner, and we broke down Denver last time in Ultra Beige, but we had averages of over 90 miles an hour both times. So I think we just need to change the race to end in Denver.
Yeah, no, I think we are professionals at getting like the first 1,800 miles done.
Yes.
That is for sure. We've proven that time and time again.
Yeah.
But it's always Denver, and my buddy Schiller is always there. I mean, we broke down the same like stretch of road.
Right, probably the same 10-mile stretch. Yep.
So yeah,
yep.
that was fun.
Yeah. What was the best part about building the car?
Oh, geez. I guess when I heard about the Musketball, immediately my mind went, okay, well, I need to.
Ice cream cone.
I see
yes.
that. Ice cream cone. I need to find the most aerodynamic, lightest car I can. And the rules said 100 horsepower. So I immediately went to torque. Like, I need the most torque because they didn't say nothing about torque. So that's where we got the idea. And, I don't know, just thinking about all the fine details and just manipulating and going around the rules the best I can to make the best car. Because, my plan was I wanted to beat anyone who might be cheating.
But not cheating.
By not cheating. So I wanted to just, I guess, outsmart people and make the best
sure.
car I could.
You are good at outsmarting, building disguises, building great cars.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's a talent of mine, I suppose you could say.
All right, so I think the real question my fans want to know about is what is it like to spend 40 hours in a car with Doug Tabbitt?
Oh, jeez.
I'm kidding. Don't answer that. Nobody
yes,
cares. Nobody cares.
I mean, as long as you got enough luggage space for your ego, you need a lot of luggage space, I guess.
No, Arnie is awesome. I love driving with him. He cares about safety, about the feelings of other drivers on the road.
Yeah,
and
that's the goal. Is don't affect anybody negatively. Don't make them touch the brakes. Don't let them do anything.
Ice cream cone.
Ice cream cone.
You're eating.
Yes.
You love ice cream.
I do.
Pretend that is your favorite ice cream.
I do love ice cream.
Yes, we're working on Arnie's mic technique.
So
all right.
So at this point, how many Cannonball miles do we have together? I mean, it's over 10,000 now.
Yeah. I'm not good at math.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's 5 or 6 runs together. So, well, Arnie, it's a pleasure to have you as my co-driver.
Yes.
Or to be your co-driver, I guess would be the more appropriate term.
Right back at you.
Yes. Always a fun time. Thanks for building an awesome car. And
let's do it again.
All right. Jared's here. Jared. Steve is here. Steve will be up next. Jared, come here. Jared is one of them people on YouTube's, the tubes of you, and he fixes cars, something like that.
Things like that.
You do things like that. All right.
I beat current Cannonball record holders in a school bus.
Shut up. Shut up. Okay, so this is actually fun. We had a 7-hour delay for the broken belt tensioner.
Right.
And as we're coming in to nearing California, I looked at where these guys were at in their short bus, which had stopped to help a number of other teams. And what was your top speed?
99 down a 20-mile downhill.
Okay.
And it took all 20 miles to reach that.
Right. So we could cruise at about 120 relatively easily. And so we were maybe 80 or 100 miles behind you. And I said, we got to catch the bus. We can't lose to the friggin' short bus. So we chased you, and we finished 9 minutes behind you.
And your mistake was you posted in chat that you were coming for us because Henry was driving that leg, and he was like, we're under 40, we're good. And I said, they're coming for us. And he's like, well, that can't happen. So he's the one that in his first stint was fairly, like he drove quick, but was safe.
Yep.
He was our carry it through evening time, get us there good, and let us take a nap driver. And then he got the final stint because it was his bus. And, he was kind of the, I guess, the bank behind everything.
Yep.
We call him the questionable idea facilitator. So we're like, you drive it in, like you own it. We had Larry Williams, whose dad ran in the 79 in a Blazer. And Larry wanted to beat his dad's time, but we came up 50 minutes short of that. But still, we're in a short bus.
But you were in a short bus. Was that under 100 horsepower?
So it most likely was 160. We wanted to put it on the dyno so we could load the concrete and take all the penalties. John took mercy on us just because we had a solid flat front that anytime we got outside of a vehicle or out from behind a vehicle, you could just feel it slow down instantly. The first top speed run was 97, and I got that and by drafting big rigs. Like I'd run up almost on their back and then just hug their side, and as soon as I lost the draft of the big rig, like we would drop 10 miles an hour. Like it was insane. And then my second stint was through New Mexico in the headwinds. Like I couldn't go over 65, 63 in some areas because the wind was so strong against the front of that bus.
Oh my goodness.
We just came to a dead stop. But
did your team probably have the most fun out of all of them?
I honestly think everyone had a really great time. I will say we were the most comfortable. we had a queen-size bed, reclining chairs. Because of its legal registration classification, when you came out of the driver's seat, you could open a beer and not worry about it, so you could enjoy a nice beverage or two after your driving stint. So
you were chugging Coors Light, and you still beat the Google Maps time in a short bus?
Yes.
There's jokes I can make, but I feel like I'll get canceled for that.
Right, yeah. Better not, so.
Okay, I won't.
Let's see, what other good... We got into a short bus race. Larry was driving, and there was a brand new dealer tag E450, basically our van, but brand new, being delivered. And we blew past him, and then I guess he took offense to that. So he was chasing us down, trying to keep up, and the brand new Power Stroke has a little more power than the old one. So we'd hit the hill climbs, and he'd pull back ahead, and then that one still had a speed governor. So any downhill, we'd get back past it. And then we kept it up so long, the cooling improvements we made to the bus became evident because he had to slow down.
Yep.
Because when you run a short bus over 70, they cook. The temperatures go nuclear. The other members of the team had taken it on a dust ball rally where their transmission temperatures were 248 degrees. They were having to cool it down with a water pump, manually pumped to cool it off. Oil temps were through the roof. Like it didn't handle it well. So we spent way too much money on cooling mods for a short bus. And
that's amazing.
Again, we were 85, 90% full throttle, to the ground for the trip across the country.
Wow.
We also calculated fuel costs. It was expensive.
Yeah, especially at today's prices.
It was over $1,700 in fuel to Cannonball school bus.
Wow.
So,
what was your final time?
39:28, which we're proud of. One, because it was quicker than Google time, under 40, and Mr. Brock in his van in 71 was 39:29.
There you 1 minute.
1 minute to the good.
That is not the first time that Brock has been beat by 1 minute, because I'm pretty sure Yates and Gurney in the Daytona then got beat the next year by the Ferrari Dino by 1 minute. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jared.
Absolutely.
You brought the fun with the short bus.
Oh, it was a great time.
You guys heard it here first. A short bus race. I don't even know where to go from there. So we're gonna have Steve Brown up here now. Thank you, Jared. Yep. It's all right.
Any other short bus guys coming by?
No other short bus guys. No. You're the one. Steve Brown has been chasing the truck record for a while, has not quite got it, but
Yep.
you may know him famously on TikTok as Cannonball GMC.
Yeah, that's
He's
right.
got a
That's right.
150-gallon fuel cell in the bed of his pickup, but you couldn't bring that because it was too much power, so you brought a
Yeah.
Saturn.
I ran a 1997.
Mike, right up to- yeah,
I ran
there
a
you go.
1997 Saturn 4-door.
Yep.
And it was brutal. Absolutely brutal to be in a 24-year-old car and make the trip across country.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us the story that you told me earlier. Steve Brown, I think, gets the award for getting the most air.
Yeah, the altitude award would definitely go to the Saturn. Allegedly, there was a flying Saturn in Oklahoma at a truck stop. I'd actually gone in to make a refueling, and it was unplanned. I was burning gas faster than I expected. Ran down past a row of trucks trying to get over to the automobile side to get fuel. Pitch black, 3 in the morning. I turned left at the end of this row of trucks only to hit a concrete island barrier, and at a fair amount of speed, faster than I should have been going in a parking lot, and I felt the front wheels come off the ground. I heard the front wheels hit the ground, slide off of this concrete barrier, and then slid over next to the gas pump. So I completely Dukes of Hazzard style launched a green Saturn across the parking lot of a truck stop.
Did you get out and just be like, I planned that?
Yeah, I kind of did the ta-da moment, when I stepped out.
So you made it another, 800 miles after that?
I did. This is the completely freaky part. Checked the car. Visibly, it looked like it was fine. Started the car at no vibrations. It tracked like it was supposed to. Got back on the interstate, hammered the car for another 800 miles, got into Arizona, made another fuel stop, and when I got back on the interstate, brushed the brakes, and the driver's side wheel just went crazy. The tie rod had snapped off. I found out now some bolts had sheared off in some key places. But a complete miracle that this car held together at the top end of its performance limit from Oklahoma to Arizona.
So not one to be dissuaded. You went to a buy here, pay here lot.
I did. Crazy story. I'm stuck in Arizona in this small town, and it's 5 o'clock. Everything's closing. Within 30 minutes, I had found a repair shop. A tow truck, flipped some cash to a tow truck guy and said, I need you to get this car over here. I talked to Enterprise Rental, and they were closing but had no cars. I said, look, does anybody rent a car in this town? They said, look, there's a little automotive, a little used car lot. She rents cars sometimes. They're open until 6. Give her a call, explain my situation. I'm desperate to get to L.A. And she goes, sure, I'll rent you a car. I find a taxi, get to the used car lot. She draws up on a Word document a rental agreement. I show her a picture of my insurance card on my phone, flip some cash her way, and I said, I'll be back in 2 days. And I take off in this Nissan Altima and get to the Portofino.
What did you say it smelled like?
A lot of things, mostly, baby food, Doritos, and disappointment. The car has 97,000 miles on it.
Oh my
It
gosh!
looks like
So
they use it
what
as
was
an
your
Uber.
total time with the breakdown, the airtime, and
I've
renting
gotta
a
know,
car?
So I don't know the official time. I'll find out tonight
Sure.
because I posted it. But I was only like a few minutes ahead of you when you came in. So what was your time?
39:37.
So I would probably be like 39:15 or something like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I lost about 2.5 hours. Yeah.
But you finished.
I did.
That's
I'm
awesome.
glad to have made
and you're
it.
coming back for the truck record at some point.
I'm
You're gonna
I'm
get
missing
that.
11 minutes. 11 minutes from Mad Dog Mendocini's time in 1979. And so that was the goal that I was going for. I missed it, and that's a whole different story of shenanigans, complications, and tragedies. But yeah, that's my goal. I need 11 minutes off of 35:03. The record for the truck at Mad Dog's time is 34 hours, 52 minutes.
You're going to get it.
I hope
know
so.
you will.
I hope so.
I know you will.
Yep.
All right, Steve.
Hey,
good
thank
seeing
you very much.
Yep,
Appreciate it.
Good running with you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks for talking. So, all right, it is 6 o'clock Everything going well? Everything good? All right, it's 6 o'clock. I promised John Ficarro that I would be done at 6 o'clock so we can do the award ceremony. So I'm just going to wrap up here. One of the most entertaining things going across country is listening to the scanner. And not necessarily for the people getting called in, but hearing all the stories. And the top three we heard was, one, we were listening in the East Coast, and we heard somebody get called in to the cop need to go to a consignment shop, local consignment shop, because there was a man urinating on the building. And then in Colorado, some Karen decided to call in a guy because she drove past him and saw that he was smoking a joint in his car. Now, we don't like DUIs, but I thought Colorado was super friendly to that kind of thing. And we just thought that was really funny that she cared enough. And, who knows? Could have been a cigarette. But I think the best one out of all of them was in the middle of Utah. You get some real interesting stuff on the scanners because it is out in the middle of nowhere. And the call came through. The dispatcher said that there was a lady who was convinced that two people were coming for her with guns. And she was she had them under surveillance, and she knew this because she was a psychic. She was surveilling them psychically. Now, I don't know why she needed to call the cops. Honestly, the cops should have been calling them. But anyway, we thought that was pretty interesting, and just as it started to get interesting, the scanner cut out and we lost reception. So anyway, that was our fun for the day, for the trip. Thank you guys for watching. This has been live from the Portofino. Sorry to our sponsors, we didn't have time to call you out this week, but we wanted to get in as many quick interviews as we could. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Next week is Thanksgiving Eve, so we won't be on, but we'll be back in 2 weeks with our regularly scheduled programming. Thanks, and have a good night.